My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Let's talk about UFC 284. That was a really fun event. The first two fights, those kind of sucked. But the next 11 fights were a ton of fun, and this main event exceeded all of our expectations. Solid event overall. I felt like I got my money's worth, and I'm assuming you did as well. Let's talk about the bets first. First of all, the premium member safety parlay has absolutely been crushing. Last night alone, the premium parlay alone, if you did nothing else other than the premium parlay, I gave you 3.6488 units of net profit. Net profit is you got your bet back and then all of that money. So the premium member safety parlay is crushing. The last 10 events, you're up 19.288, 19 and a half units of net profit. And the sky's the limit with this thing. I don't know how long it's going to continue on this path, but it is doing incredibly well. And frankly, it is a safety parlay. This isn't the $5 win $1 million parlays. This is a safety parlay that is supposed to win week in and week out. And that's exactly what it's doing. All 4 legs hit last night. And the way we like to do this is you bet the base, you bet the third leg, you bet the fourth leg. I give you the parlay. You break it up into 3 parlays, and you cash some very real money. Go to WeWantPicks.com. Become a member. It's only $10 a month. Frankly, if all you ever do is tail the safety parlay, I just gave you almost 2 years of premium membership over the last 10 weeks. I gave you almost 4 months of premium membership last night alone. The UFC Vegas 69 picks, bets, and safety parlay are up now for premium members. We break down a lot of fights on this channel. Right? We break down a lot, every single fight for every single event we break down. And a lot of you focus on who we pick, who we bet on. But it's also important to listen about who we are not betting on. Not betting on someone is just as important as who you bet on. Zuba lost last night. And I get it. It was not the greatest decision of all time. He should have won that fight. But Jacob and I were very clear about both Zuba and Tyson Pedro. These guys are probably parlay busters. We do think they win. They should win. But in no world are we putting the flag down and putting Tyson Pedro or Zubaira, Tukhugov, Zuba, in our parlay. So, yes, he should have won that fight. Yes, it was a robbery. But let's be honest. This fat turd missed weight at 145. He missed weight at 155, and he looked undersized. He looked small. He didn't get his wrestling going, and yes, he should have won this fight. The cut is probably what the difference was between winning and losing. The judges saw the blood. He wasn't overtly dominant. It's not like he went out there and beat some ass and there was some blood. He didn't really impose his will. He didn't push the pace, and, that's what happens. Elves Brenner showed up. Elves Brenner worked for the win. Zuba should have won, yes. Clearly the judges didn't think so, though. And how many times are you going to miss weight? 2 different weight classes he missed weight. Cut him. Cut him. There's consequences. You can't just miss weight in multiple weight classes, then go out there and put on that performance. He should be cut. There's so many guys out there that are doing what they're supposed to do, like an Elves Brenner. Regardless of what you think about that decision, Elves Brenner that night showed up on weight the night before, showed up that night ready to go, pushed the pace, tried to win this fight. Zuba? No, absolutely not. Best bet on the card was Jacob's bet. I think the odds were plus 270 for the Loma Lookboonmee Elise Reed under 2.5. It was plus 270, and Jacob's breakdown was spot on. It was, if she's going to finish anybody, it's Elise Reed. And she looked amazing. Loma Lookboonmee was the 4th leg of the safety parlay. And she dominated everywhere except at the, past the halfway point of the first round. She was on top. She got swept. She ended up on bottom. I will say, I'm starting to like Michael Bisping less and less as a color commentator, because what was he saying? Loma Lookboonmee, she's starting to panic. She's starting to panic. She wasn't panicking. When did she look like she was panicking on the ground? She's defending submissions, trying not to get pounded on, but she never looked like she panicked. And then what'd she do in the second round? Freaking pick Elise Reed up, dump her ass, climb on her back, and get this done. Loma Lookboonmee is very, very good. Jacob and I were very high on her. A lot of people were, right? I'm not going to pretend that we were geniuses. She was a decent-sized favorite, but that under 2.5 was a great bet for Jacob. I'm loving Loma Lookboonmee, and unless she's fighting somebody that can just push her around and bully her like Lupi Godinez did, she's going to be a problem for a lot of people. Great hands, great takedowns. And as long as, she works on the ground game a little bit, you get off her back. If she is taken down, she's going to be an actual problem. And then, holy crap, Jack Jenkins is very good. Very good. I was a little bit critical coming into it obviously we picked him. He was the third leg of the safety parlay. I was a little critical that, hey, we don't really see him wrestle and strike. And I don't really see him string together a ton of combinations, but he looked phenomenal. Those leg kicks are absolutely savage killer leg kicks. Those leg kicks are insane. He did string together some really nice combinations, and he looked phenomenal. But Don Shainis is no bum. This guy is no bum. A lot of people were like, oh, he's a bum. He is not a bum. First of all, he almost won that fight. How many of you were nervous as hell when Jack Jenkins' arm was in the Kimura and his palm was facing that direction? He could have scratched the back of his head and grabbed the fence at the same time. I thought his arm snapped off. It looked bad. It looked bad. I cannot believe that didn't do it for him. But thank God he survived. He got it done. He was by far the better fighter. And I hope Don Shainis gets a second shot, right? His first loss was a short notice step up. The second loss was a war. He went out there, he fought his ass off, he tried to win that fight, and it was a war, and he got beat by the better guy on a different continent. So let's give this guy another fight, see what he's made of, and go from there. Don Shainis is not a bum, regardless of the outcome of his first 2 UFC fights. And you know what I'm going to love? He'll probably get a third fight. They're going to give him a matchup that he can win, but everybody's going to fade him because they're going to see 0-2 in the UFC. They're going to see this, the submission in the first fight. The odds aren't going to be great. He's going to get faded, and he's going to be a phenomenal underdog pick. So let's keep an eye on him. Jamie Mullarkey was patient as hell, and he grappled in the first round. So good for Jamie Mullarkey, right? That's the performances you want to see out of him, because I was worried. I said Prado's the type of guy that can come in here and swing heavy and get it done. And he had his moments, right? He also almost won this fight with a late submission. He had his moments. But Jamie Mullarkey looked phenomenal 90% of this fight. And he did what he needed to do. I was worried that he was going to come out here in Australia and just swing. And that wouldn't have been the best game plan. But he didn't. He picked his shots. He didn't get sucked into a firefight. Frankly, there were a few times where I thought he could have gotten the finish on his feet, and he chose not to. But Jamie Mullarkey maturing, making the right decisions in front of a hometown crowd, mixed in grappling and striking really well. He looked good. He looked very, very good. Jacob was watching the fights in my house, and he wouldn't shut the hell up about everybody that was there. Does this guy look like me? Do you think he looks like me? But look at his eyebrows. I don't look like that. And then Casey, who was there watching the fights with us, go, you're just bent out of shape because he's ugly as hell, and you guys look exactly the same. So unfortunately for Jacob, he's not the most attractive guy. Thank God he's funny, right? Thank God he's funny. Goodbye to a legend. Tyson Pedro. The apple of everybody's eye. The dude who opened at minus 1,000 looked like absolute trash. He looked like trash. Absolute dog shit. He did not look good. Except in that first round, he had a phenomenal takedown. He changed direction. He had a phenomenal takedown in that first round. And good for him. He is a grappler. But everybody saw the last 2 fights, saw the knockouts. Modestas Bukauskas was cut by the UFC, beat a couple of regional guys, came back, and Tyson Pedro has 5 minutes of gas and nothing else. He has no gas beyond the first 5 minutes. We said he should not be in anybody's parlays. We said you do not bet on him, and Jacob said it best when we said we don't even know if he's good yet or not. He beat Ike Villanueva. Okay. He beat Harry Hunsucker. Okay. Now he fought somebody who's actually a decent striker, and he didn't have much to offer after the first 5 minutes. So Tyson Pedro, not nearly as good as everybody thought. I'm very glad Jacob and I had no action on this dude whatsoever. At We Want Picks, we break down every single fight in DraftKings for our favorite dogs, our favorites, the best value. Tyson Pedro was our fade of the week in DraftKings, and we nailed that because the dude has nothing to offer outside the first round. Phenomenal takedown, though. That takedown was very impressive. I watched it back 6 times. Very well done. He needed more of that. Tyson Pedro, again, this show is not just about who we pick and who we bet on. It's also about who we don't bet on, who we don't have confidence in. You don't need to bet on every single fight and every single fighter because I've seen Twitter. It is a graveyard of the Zuba decision and Tyson Pedro parlays. And both of those guys, we said, I don't trust them enough. Zuba was a bad decision, but still, he's a minus 500 guy. When have you ever seen that dude fight and think he was a minus 500? Tyson Pedro opened at a minus 1,000. It is very rare that Vegas is that wrong about a guy. He was immediately bet down. And thank God for our line movement tracker, because all of you could see the movement and see that line kept tightening. So if you're a premium member, that line movement tracker is already up, ready to go for UFC Vegas 69. They just added Jessica Andrade. She swapped out for Tyler Santos, and there's already been line movement on that. So check that out when you get a chance. How about this fence grab? Here's my take on the fence grab. First of all, we all agree Alonzo Menifield won that fight, right? The only reason it was a draw is because they took a point away, making it 28-28, right? It was 29-28 for Alonzo Menifield. I picked him. I bet on him. Jacob picked him. Jacob bet on him. He was Jacob's lock of the week. We got refunds on all of it. It's a draw. We got our money back on the pick or on the bet. I don't necessarily have a problem with Mark Goddard calling taking the point away for the fence grab. My bigger issue is not this specific fight. My bigger issue is that then do it all the time. Do it every single time or don't do it at all. You can't do it for this fight and only this fight. When was the last time on the very first fence grab attempt, the very first one, when was the last time you saw a point taken away? No warning. One grab, boom, point. When was the last time you saw that? If anything, slap his hand off. If you think that the grab stopped the takedown, don't take the point away. Just start them on the ground. Just give Jimmy the takedown and start it on the ground. He ended up getting the takedown after that anyway. So I don't have a problem with the point deduction, but do it every single time. So I had a problem with it in the greater scheme of things. I don't have a problem with it in the silo of we take points away when you grab the fence. Let me know what you think in the comments. Obviously, Menifield should have won that fight. If he had a little more cardio, he could have put Jimmy Crute away. He gassed big time. Jimmy Crute's a warrior. Both of these guys are tough as hell. We trashed Jimmy Crute striking. It did not look good early. Let's not pretend that it looked good. His takedowns were a lot better than I thought they were going to be. Alonzo Menifield's got good takedown defense. But anyway, the fence grab's a little bothersome. It annoyed the shit out of me. I had a quarter of a unit at plus 185, I think, on Alonzo. So at least I got a refund on that. At least that fence grab didn't cost me money, but it definitely prevented me from making more money. Heavyweights are going to do what heavyweights do. And here's the thing. Parker Porter is a personal friend of mine. I know him in real life. I've known him in real life for a very long time. I managed him for a good portion of his career. I picked him to win. But bias aside, the dude set the significant strike record, broke his own significant strike record in the heavyweight division of all time. Of all time, all the heavyweight fights that have ever happened, Parker Porter landed the most amount of significant strikes and then broke his own record. Justin Tafa was lit up by Jared Vanderaa with just jabs over and over and over. I thought Parker was going to be able to do more of the same. He didn't really get a chance to get going. And as we know, heavyweights do what heavyweights do. He has incredible power and incredible chin. He got it done. That's the deal with heavyweights. But anybody like, Parker sucks. Man, this is what heavyweights do. He's got good footwork, good hands. I have no doubt that when he fights these guys that don't have that insane power, he can absolutely get it done. So, good local win for Justin Tafa. Parker Porter will be back. I mean, he's, 3-3 in the UFC now? One of his losses was in a short notice UFC debut. His last loss before this one was against Jalton Almeida, who may end up being the UFC heavyweight champion. And then this loss was just a traditional heavyweight, caught you on the way in type loss. So anyway, good for Tafa. Got the win at home. And I have no doubt that Parker will be back and put some stuff together. Jack Maddalena is a problem. This dude's a problem. Because we've seen him light people up. Right? We've seen him get it done. How many first-round finishes does this guy have? But this fight was different. He had clean power in this fight. Normally, he's got a bunch of jabs. It lights your face up, works from there, maybe a TKO. In this fight, he had incredible power. Very real, tight, controlled, not big, looping, overhand power. Nice, tight, clean power. Got it to the ground, then worked his grappling from there. Ramazan Ameev, He beat Ramazan Emeev. That was the wrestler that was supposed to give him a hard time. But if you remember, Ramazan was like, he had like weird marks on his body. Definitely wasn't 100%. I am curious to see who they give Maddalena next. If they give him a straight up wrestler who's going to try to grind on him the whole time, I wonder very much what that looks like, because the upper echelon of this division, it's a good amount of very good wrestlers. So we'll see what happens, but Jack Maddalena is a problem. I don't know how many more first, second round submissions and knockouts he needs before he's ranked and, we're talking about a title fight. So good for him. A lot of people loved Randy Brown. Jack Maddalena was in the base of the safety parlay. We were very confident in him to win this fight. People loved Randy Brown. So I know a lot of you lost money betting on him in the underdog spot, and that just, it's not the worst pick in the world if you picked Randy Brown. He's the longest guy in the division. He's got good striking, good submissions, but, Maddalena made it look easy last night. Listen, I was wrong. I think I had a half a unit on Josh Emmett. The dude's a one-trick pony. At a moment, there was a moment or two where he looked like he was going to have some success. He cracked Yair Rodriguez a few times. It did end up on the ground. But I don't know why he refuses to offensively wrestle. I keep telling myself I have to fade these wrestlers that find power, because these wrestlers that find power, they don't ever have the best striking technique. They just have power in their hands. Then they just never wrestle again and throw bombs, and it just doesn't work out. That's what's happened with Josh Emmett. He does have power. He wings that right hand. He wings his left arm. Like, he's just winging everything from all directions. He lands every now and then, but I think we could also say that these hip injury rumors, he didn't look like he had any hip injury. That's just weird rumors. Frankly, Yair Rodriguez looked great. He looked great. I think Volkanovski smokes him, but he still looked great. He earned this win. It's the first win he's actually earned in a few years. So, Josh Emmett, you got to evolve, man. How frustrating was that? At least for the people on the Josh Emmett side. Yair Rodriguez looked great. I'm looking forward to that fight. And I think Volkanovski proved he's as tough as they get, and he should not have too many problems with Yair Rodriguez. What a fight, man. This fight was a lot closer than I thought. I thought this was going to be a mauling by Islam. I thought it was going to be a mauling. I thought he would get the takedowns and just be able to do whatever he wanted to do on the ground. It was a little different, right? Islam actually looked better on his feet. And then on the ground, not that, Volkanovski didn't have much offensive, takedowns to offer, but he attempted them. He had some solid takedown defense. He got up. He created scrambles. Volkanovski is one tough dude. That dude is tough as hell, kept coming forward, put on a show. And I think this was best case scenario, because you don't want the lighter guy to come up and beat that. That just makes the divisions confusing. That just makes everything a pain in the ass. It makes it annoying. This is how it is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be able to go up 10 pounds and beat that guy, right? They're supposed to be the best in their division, but they can't beat each other. That's why there's weight classes. So this is what it was supposed to be, a razor-thin fight. The bigger guy got it done, and it was excellent. This was an incredible, incredible fight. I personally do think Islam won this fight. I do think he won the fight. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, because Volkanovski kept coming. He was exciting. And he won that last round. He looked great in that last round. But we score by round. The last round's gone. We all agree. Islam lost that last round. But he did well. He won 3 rounds. That's all he needed to do. Somebody gave him 4, which I disagree with. Let's look at the scorecard here. He won 3 rounds. Derek Cleary gave him 4 rounds. I think these 2 scorecards are correct. He won the first. He won the second. He won the third. And, first, second, and the fourth. The fourth was clear, right? That was when he had Volkanovski's back. And just because Volkanovski was punching behind him and putting on a show and not succumbing, listen, he had full back control. He had it locked up. Great fight. I loved it. Let me know in the comments if this changes your opinion on Islam. Does this mean Islam is not the dominant force we thought he was? Or does this just mean Volkanovski is so much better than we thought he was? I'm curious on your opinion there, because a lot of people are going to be like, I'm fading Islam now. And just list all these people beat Islam. I think styles make fights. I think Volkanovski over-prepared for the wrestling. Islam probably thought this was going to be easier than it was. He did gas. It was his first 5-round fight. He even said, I didn't take him as serious as I should have. And I personally don't think this takes away from Islam. I think this adds for Volkanovski. I think he's just so much tougher than we thought he was. And we is Jacob and I. I know a lot of you love Volkanovski in that fight. A few of you are insisting he won. That was not a robbery. That was not a robbery. You want to focus your robbery efforts, do it on the Zuba fight. This was not a robbery. This was pretty clear, at least in my opinion. Guys, I gave you 3.64 or 65 if we're rounding up units of net profit on the safety parlay alone. We gave you profit last night. Premium membership is only $10 a month. It's $10 a month. And the reason it's $10, this is MMA. Anything can happen. Everybody out there charging $25 an event, people even charging $15 a month. We're charging $10. You're going to get the picks, the bets, the safety parlay. You're going to get the DraftKings optimizer. You're going to get FanDuel content. You're going to get everything we have to offer. It is only $10 a month. And we have been giving you consistent money week in and week out for every single event. We are in a 10-fight stretch, I think. UFC Vegas 69 picks, bets, safety parlay. All that is up right now. Just go to WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Guys, we added the line movement tracker. There has been some interesting line movement already. Jessica Andrade opened up as a minus 190. She is a minus 150. Those odds close. We've had some interesting movement on this card. Josh Parisian opened at plus 145. He is now plus 190. Check out the line movement tracker. This is exclusive for premium members. It's interactive. Get in there, take a look. And if you want $50, I will give you $50. I will just give it to you. The only thing you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of my betting partners using the link, make a deposit, and I send you $50 as a thank you. They're going to pay me, and then I am going to pay you.